My sister left her baby on my doorstep and vanished. Then my parents said, "She's your responsibility now." And when I called my mother in a panic, she didn't tell me to call the police. She told me that my niece was my burden now. That one word, burden, didn't just break my heart. It ignited a fire that would burn down my entire family dynamic and build something stronger from the ashes. I stood there in the hallway, paralyzed. In my arms was 8-month-old Leah, clinging to me with that instinctive, desperate grip babies have when they sense something is wrong. Her diaper bag was sitting at my feet, half-zipped, leaking formula onto the floor mat. Outside, through the window, I watched Karina's taillights fade into the darkness at 10 p.m. on a Thursday. She hadn't rung the bell. She hadn't come inside to say goodbye. She just knocked twice hard, frantic raps, and ran like a teenager pulling a prank. Tucked into Leah's carrier was a note written on the back of a grocery receipt. The handwriting was rushed, barely legible. Asterisk, need to find myself. You always wanted kids anyway. K. Asterisk, that was it. That was the explanation. Dan found me 20 minutes later, still frozen in the hallway. Leah was starting to fuss against my shoulder, a high-pitched whine that signaled hunger and confusion. What the hell happened? Dan asked. He looked from the leaking bag to the portable crib someone had shoved against my apartment door, and finally to the car seat with Leah embroidered in pink thread. I couldn't even speak. I just handed him the note. I watched his jaw tighten as he read it. The color drained from his face. Gently, he took Leah from my arms, cradling her close. "We're calling the police," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "I already tried calling Karina 15 times, I said, my voice sounding flat, like it was coming from someone else. Straight to voicemail. Then I called my parents. And that's when my mother's words echoed back to me, the words that had frozen me in place. When I told her Karina had left the baby, she didn't gasp. She didn't ask if Leah was okay. She said, asterisk, Karina needs space to figure things out, Noah. You're more stable. You can handle this. She's your niece. And frankly, she's your burden now. Asterisk, my father had been silent on the line, which was his way of agreeing. 32 years of Karina being the golden child, getting away with everything, and now this. Dan shifted Leah to his other shoulder, and she immediately grabbed his ear, her tiny fingers curling tight. Noah, this is child abandonment. That's a crime. You don't have legal custody. You don't have medical records. You probably don't even have her social security information. He was right. I had a baby. I had a diaper bag with exactly 3 diapers and 1 bottle. And I had absolutely nothing else. We're documenting everything, I said, the shock finally giving way to adrenaline. Photos, timestamps, that note. Everything. I pulled out my phone and started snapping pictures. I photographed the pathetic note on the receipt. I photographed the contents of the diaper bag, or lack thereof. I pulled the footage from my door camera showing Karina's hurried exit, the timestamps glaringly bright. I took screenshots of my call log showing 15 desperate attempts to reach her. And then, I went to the text thread with my parents. There it was. My mother had actually typed it out after the call. Asterisk, she's your burden now. Asterisk, I screenshotted it. I backed everything up to 3 different cloud services and emailed copies to myself with the subject line, November 14th, Leah abandoned at my apartment. Leah started crying then. Really crying. It was the kind of cry that comes from hunger and fear and being held by strange arms in a strange house. Dan immediately went to warm the single bottle we had. I frantically searched my apartment for anything baby-related. I found nothing except a throw blanket and some pillows I could use to barricade her on my bed. At 28, I'd imagined having kids someday with Dan. Maybe in a few years, after a wedding, after buying a house with a yard. Not like this. Never like this. Formula's running low, Dan observed, testing the temperature on his wrist like he'd done it 1,000 times, even though he hadn't. We need to make a store run tonight. And first thing tomorrow, you're filing a police report. He looked at me over Leah's head, his expression dead serious. I know she's your sister, Noah. But this isn't okay. None of this is okay. I watched him feed Leah. Her tiny hands wrapped around the bottle, her eyelids drooping as the milk settled her stomach. She looked exactly like Karina had as a baby. The same dark curls, the same nose. I'd seen the photos enough times. My parents had them framed all over their house. Karina, the perfect firstborn. There were fewer photos of me, and none were framed. Tomorrow, I'm also calling a family lawyer, I said quietly. And I'm keeping every receipt. Every single penny I spend on her. Dan nodded. Good. Because when Karina comes back, and she will come back eventually, you're going to need proof. He didn't say what we were both thinking, that my parents would side with Karina when that happened. They always did. But this time, I wasn't going to be the one who bent. At midnight, after Dan had made an emergency run to the 24-hour pharmacy for formula, diapers, and wipes, I sat in my living room. Leah was finally asleep in the portable crib. I looked at my credit card statement, $147 for the bare minimum. I opened my laptop and started a spreadsheet. Asterisk date. Item. Cost. Store. Receipt. Photo. Asterisk. Then I added another column. Notes. In the first row, I typed, asterisk sister abandoned baby with 3 diapers and 1 bottle. Parents refused to help. Asterisk. My phone buzzed. It was Karina, finally responding to my barrage of texts. Asterisk. Thanks for understanding. Just need a week or two. Asterisk. A week or two. Like she dropped off a houseplant to be watered, not a human child with complex needs? I didn't respond. I just took a screenshot, added it to my evidence folder, and saved it. Dan watched me from the doorway, a new pack of overnight diapers in his hands. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking, I said, my fingers steady on the keyboard as I started drafting an email to a family law attorney my colleague had recommended, that Karina just made the biggest mistake of her life. And this time, Mom and Dad can't fix it for her. The reality of the situation hit hard the next morning. The pediatrician's office refused to see Leah. I need her insurance card, immunization records, and proof of guardianship, the receptionist said, barely looking up from her computer. I stood at the counter with Leah strapped to my chest in a carrier I'd bought 2 hours ago. Another $60 on my growing tab. Her mother abandoned her at my apartment 3 days ago, I said, my voice rising slightly. I have nothing except a note on a grocery receipt. The receptionist's expression shifted from annoyed to concerned. Ma'am, that's a CPS situation. You need to call Child Protective Services immediately. If a child has been abandoned, they can help establish temporary custody and get her medical coverage. She slid a card across the counter. I took the card, photographed it, and added it to the file. File size, 237 items. 3 days of Karina's silence. 3 days of my parents suggesting I just handle it for now. 3 days of me documenting every single second while learning to change diapers and decode different types of crying. Dan had been working from my apartment, taking conference calls with Leah babbling in the background, neither of us sleeping more than 4 hours a night. I had contacted the attorney, Rebecca Walsh. Her consultation fee was $300. I paid it without blinking. What you're describing is criminal child abandonment, she said over Zoom, her face grave. In Oregon, leaving a child under 10 with a non-custodial party without providing support constitutes abandonment. Your sister could face charges. My parents are telling me to just take care of her, I explained, feeling that familiar wave of guilt they always instilled in me. They're saying Karina needs space. That family handles family problems privately. Rebecca leaned forward toward the camera. Your parents don't get to make that decision, Noah. The law does. You need to file a report with the police and contact CPS immediately. Document everything you're spending, every message from your sister and parents. If this goes to court, you'll need that paper trail. Sitting in my car outside the pediatrician's office, I made the call. The CPS intake worker listened to my story, asked pointed questions, and scheduled a home visit for the next day. Don't let the mother take the child if she returns before we complete our investigation, the worker instructed. If you do, you could be charged with facilitating custodial interference. My mother called while I was driving home. Karina checked in with me, she said breezily. She says she's doing better. She just needed a break. Motherhood is hard, Noah. When are you bringing Leah over for a visit? The audacity made my hands tighten on the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Where is Karina? I asked. She didn't say exactly. Somewhere she can think. She abandoned her child, Mom. That's a crime. My mother's voice went cold instantly. Don't be dramatic. She left Leah with family. That's responsible. And you're going to traumatize that baby talking about police and courts. Just take care of her until Karina is ready. I've spent over $800 in 4 days, Mom. Formula alone is $43 a container. I've had to miss work. I don't have custody, which means I can't make medical decisions. This isn't sustainable. Then I guess you'll have to make it sustainable, my mother snapped. Or are you going to be selfish like always? That baby needs stability, not your drama. She hung up before I could respond. I pulled into my apartment complex, carried Leah and 3 bags of groceries upstairs, and found that Dan had set up a changing station in our bedroom using a dresser we'd cleared out. CPS is coming tomorrow, I told him, setting Leah in her crib. And I need to file a police report today. I'll watch her, Dan said immediately. Go do what you need to do. The police report took 2 hours. The officer was sympathetic but direct. Unless your sister shows up and you can prove she's unfit, this will likely be treated as a civil custody matter, not criminal. Family court will decide. But yes, technically, this meets the definition of abandonment. He handed me a case number. Keep that. You'll need it. When I returned home, I walked into an ambush. My father was sitting in my living room, Leah on his lap. Dan hovered nearby, looking ready to throw a punch. Dad, I said carefully. Your mother is upset, he started, not even looking at me. This family doesn't need police involved. We handle our problems privately. Karina handled it privately by dumping her daughter and disappearing, I shot back. She's struggling, Noah. Mental health is serious. She needs support, not judgment. I sat down across from him. Where is she, Dad? Because if she's really struggling, she needs professional help, not a vacation from parenting. And if she's not actually struggling, then this is abandonment. He shifted Leah on his lap. I don't know where she is. She hasn't told us. But I know my daughter and she'll come back when she's ready. In the meantime, you're capable. You have Dan. You have a good job. You have space here. I have 840 square feet and no legal right to make medical decisions for this child. Then we'll sign something. Give you temporary guardianship. That requires Karina's signature, too, I said. And she's not answering my calls. My father stood up, handed Leah to Dan, and headed for the door. Figure it out, Noah. That's what adults do. They figure it out. He paused at the threshold, turning to look at me with disappointment. And maybe think about how this reflects on our family before you go making everything public. After he left, I opened my spreadsheet. Asterisk day 4. Father visited. Pressured me to drop police report. Claimed family reputation more important than child welfare. Asterisk Dan read over my shoulder. They're never going to back you up, are they? No, I said, feeling a strange sense of calm settling over me. But I don't need them to. The CPS worker, Janet Torres, spent 90 minutes in my apartment. She documented the portable crib wedged between my bed and the wall, the makeshift changing station, the formula stash on my kitchen counter. She interviewed Dan, reviewed my evidence folder, and took photos of everything. You've done more in 5 days than most people do in 5 months, she said, closing her laptop. This is clearly abandonment. I'm opening a case. What happens now? We try to locate the mother. If we can't within 72 hours, or if she refuses to resume custody, the state can petition for emergency custody on your behalf if you're willing to take it. You'd become a licensed foster parent for your niece while we work toward permanent placement. And if Karina comes back? Janet's expression hardened. She doesn't get to just walk back in. Not anymore. She'll have to prove to a judge she can provide adequate care. Based on what you've shown me, that's going to be difficult. She handed me a stack of paperwork. Fill this out. We'll schedule a home study. You'll need background checks, references, and training. After she left, I called Rebecca Walsh again. CPS is opening a case. They want to give me emergency foster custody. That's good, Rebecca said. It protects you and gives you legal authority. But Noah, you need to decide right now what your endgame is. Are you doing this temporarily until Karina gets her act together, or are you doing this permanently? I looked at Leah, who was currently destroying a board book with intense concentration. She'd been with me for 6 days. I knew her sleep schedule. I knew her favorite songs. I knew the way she scrunched her nose before crying. I'd rearranged my entire life, spent over $1,300, and faced down my family's anger. Permanently, I said. I want to adopt her. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. That's a fight. Your sister will have to voluntarily terminate her rights, or the state will have to prove she's unfit. Your parents will likely oppose it. I know. Okay, then we build an airtight case. Every dollar you spend, every hour you invest, every milestone she hits with you. That's evidence. You're not just babysitting anymore. You're proving you're her parent. I started the foster parent application that night. Background check, financial disclosure, 3 personal references. I asked my boss, Kim, my landlord, and Dan's sister. All 3 said yes immediately. The training was online, 12 hours of modules about trauma-informed care and legal responsibilities. I completed it in 2 days during Leah's naps. Karina finally called on day 9. Hey, I'm ready to pick up Leah. I'll come by this weekend. My heart pounded against my ribs. Where have you been? Around. Staying with a friend. I needed the break, and I feel so much better now. She sounded cheerful, relaxed, like she was talking about a spa weekend. Thanks for watching her. Karina, you abandoned your daughter. There's a CPS case open. I filed for emergency custody. Silence. Dead silence. You did what? You left her with no notice, no supplies, no way for me to contact you. That's illegal. She's my daughter, Noah. You can't just steal her. I didn't steal her. You dumped her. And now there are consequences. My voice stayed steady, though my hands were shaking. If you want her back, you'll have to prove to a judge you're capable of caring for her. Mom said you were being dramatic, but this is insane. I'm coming to get my baby right now. CPS instructed me not to release her to you without court approval. If you show up, I'll call the police. She started screaming. Accusations, insults, threats. I let her finish. I have 9 days of documentation showing you made 0 attempt to check on your daughter's welfare, I said coldly. I have text messages from you treating this like a vacation. I have receipts for over $2,000 I've spent on her care that you haven't reimbursed. Come to court, Karina. Bring a lawyer. I hung up and immediately texted Janet Torres. Mother contacted me. Wants immediate return of child. Informed her of court requirement per your instruction. Janet responded within minutes. Correct. Do not release child. Emergency hearing scheduled for Thursday. My mother called 10 minutes later. How dare you turn my daughter's moment of weakness into this spectacle? You're tearing this family apart. Karina tore it apart when she abandoned her child. I yelled back, finally losing my cool. She was struggling. Postpartum depression is real, Noah. Then she should have asked for help. She should have gone to a doctor, called you, anything other than dumping Leah like unwanted furniture. I paced my living room, Leah sleeping peacefully despite the chaos. And where were you, Mom? You knew she was struggling. Why didn't you take Leah? We're not equipped for an infant. We're in our 60s. But I'm equipped. I work full-time. I have a 1-bedroom apartment. The only difference is you knew I wouldn't say no. You've always been the capable one, my mother said, like it was a compliment. Karina needs more support. She's sensitive. She's 32 years old. When does she stop needing special treatment? When you stop being jealous of her? My mother's voice turned vicious. You've always resented that she's more free-spirited, more creative. Now you're using her baby to punish her. I almost laughed. It was so absurd. I'm the one who's been caring for her, Mom. Feeding her. Changing her. Staying up all night when she's teething. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm protecting Leah by taking her from her mother. Karina left her. I'm just refusing to pretend that's okay anymore. I took a deep breath. I'll see you in court. The emergency hearing was brutal. Karina showed up with a lawyer her new boyfriend was apparently paying for. She was wearing a conservative dress and crying practice tears. She claimed postpartum depression, said she'd been afraid to ask for help, insisted she'd only meant to take a weekend break. I left her with her aunt because I knew she'd be safe, Karina sobbed. I never meant to abandon her. My attorney presented my evidence folder. The note on the grocery receipt. The 3 diapers. The 2-week absence. The text messages treating it like a vacation. The complete lack of financial support or check-ins. The judge reviewed everything in silence. Then he looked at Karina. Where were you for 2 weeks? Staying with a friend in Seattle. I just needed space to clear my head. Did you contact anyone about your daughter's welfare during those 2 weeks? Karina hesitated. I texted my sister, thanking her for understanding. Once. In 2 weeks. The judge flipped through papers. And you provided no financial support, no medical information, no custody documentation? I thought it was temporary. Family helping family. Ms. Rice, the judge said, his voice stern. Temporary childcare involves planning, communication, and continued parental involvement. What you did meets Oregon's legal definition of child abandonment. He turned to me. Ms. Gill, you're requesting emergency custody while this case proceeds? Yes, Your Honor. I've completed foster parent training and passed all background checks. I'm willing to provide full-time care for Leah. The judge granted it. Temporary custody to me. Supervised visits for Karina pending a full psychological evaluation and a review hearing in 90 days. Karina's lawyer immediately filed for full custody restoration, but the judge wasn't sympathetic. Your client will need to demonstrate stability, complete a parenting course, and undergo a mental health assessment. This court does not take child abandonment lightly. Outside the courtroom, my parents were waiting. My father looked tired. My mother looked furious. You've made your point, she hissed. Now drop this and let Karina have her daughter back. The court says otherwise. And honestly, the court doesn't know our family history, Mom. They just know the facts. You're doing this to be vindictive. I shifted Leah's carrier on my arm. I'm doing this because someone has to put Leah first. Since that's apparently not going to be any of you, it's going to be me. My father finally spoke. What do you want from us, Noah? Nothing, I said honestly. I don't want anything from you anymore. I just want you to stop pretending Karina can do no wrong while I'm expected to fix everything she breaks. I walked away before they could respond. 3 months later, I sat in family court for the final custody hearing. Karina's psychological evaluation had revealed untreated anxiety and depression, but nothing that strictly prevented her from parenting if she had proper support. Her supervised visits with Leah had gone well, according to the court monitor. She'd completed her parenting course and started therapy. On paper, she was doing everything right. My attorney leaned over. She's going to ask for custody back. The state will likely recommend reunification with support services. I'd known this was coming. 3 months of being Leah's mother. Of midnight bottles and first words and pediatrician appointments. 3 months of my apartment transformed into a home for 2. 3 months of Dan proposing because we're already a family, might as well make it official. 3 months of loving this baby more than I'd thought possible. I have something, I said quietly, pulling up my phone. Over the past 90 days, Karina had been required to maintain weekly contact with Leah through supervised video calls. She'd missed 4 of them. During the calls she did attend, she'd been on her phone, distracted, once actually asking the monitor if they could reschedule because she had brunch plans. All of this was documented in the court monitor's reports, which I'd requested copies of. But I had more. During Karina's supervised in-person visits, she'd been allowed to take Leah to the park for age-appropriate activities, always with a monitor present. I'd received the visit summaries. Asterisk mother engaged appropriately. Child comfortable. Asterisk what the summaries didn't capture were the photos Karina had posted on Instagram afterward. Pictures of Leah with captions like asterisk, mommy-daughter time. Asterisk and my baby girl, and being a mom is the hardest job but so worth it, posted to her 800 followers, garnering sympathy and praise. Meanwhile, her private messages to me told a different story. I'd screenshotted every single one. Asterisk, these visits are exhausting. When can we just do this without the monitor breathing down my neck? Asterisk, Leah barely remembers me. This is pointless. Asterisk, maybe you should just keep her. I'm not cut out for this. Asterisk, I'd also documented her complete lack of financial contribution. Court-ordered child support was $600 monthly. Payments received, 0. The state had garnished her tax refund, which amounted to $400. That was it. Meanwhile, my spreadsheet showed $8,342 spent on Leah's care. Your Honor, my attorney said when it was our turn. We'd like to present additional evidence regarding the mother's fitness and commitment. The judge reviewed everything. The missed calls. The social media performance versus private admissions. The financial neglect. The Instagram posts came last. I watched Karina's face go white as her own words were read aloud in court. Asterisk, being a mom is the hardest job, but so worth it. Asterisk followed immediately by her text to me from the same day. Asterisk, I can't do this. She's better off with you. Asterisk, Ms. Rice, the judge said. You've completed your requirements, which is commendable. But this court needs to see genuine commitment to parenting, not a performance for social media. Your private communication suggests you don't actually want custody. Is that accurate? Karina's lawyer jumped in. My client is still bonding with her daughter after a difficult period. I'm asking Ms. Rice directly. Karina looked at me, then at Leah, sleeping in Dan's arms in the gallery, then at our parents, who'd come to support her petition. I love my daughter, she said carefully. That's not what I asked. Do you want custody? The silence stretched so long I could hear the hum of the HVAC system. Finally, Karina whispered, I want what's best for her. What does that mean? It means... Karina's voice broke. It means Noah has been her mom for 3 months. She knows her schedule, her favorite foods, her doctors. I missed all of that. I left because I was overwhelmed and scared, and I thought taking a break would help, but it just made everything worse. And now I don't know how to be her mom because someone else already is. The judge waited. I think Leah should stay with Noah, Karina finally said. Permanently. My parents gasped behind me. My mother started to stand, but my father pulled her back down. The judge looked at me. Ms. Gill, are you requesting permanent custody and adoption? Yes, Your Honor. And you understand this would terminate Ms. Rice's parental rights? I do. The judge reviewed her notes, the stacks of evidence, the 3 months of reports. This court finds that reunification is not in the child's best interest. Ms. Gill has provided stable, consistent care. She has met all state requirements for foster-to-adopt placement. Ms. Rice's voluntary relinquishment supports this outcome. She signed the order. Permanent custody is granted to Noah Gill, with termination of parental rights for Karina Rice. Adoption proceedings may begin immediately. Just like that. Leah was mine. Outside the courtroom, my mother grabbed my arm. Her grip was tight, desperate. You manipulated her into giving up her baby. I presented facts, I said calmly, pulling my arm free. The court made a decision based on Leah's welfare. She's our granddaughter. You're cutting us out of her life. You cut yourselves out when you told me she was my burden. Instead of offering to help, you chose Karina's feelings over Leah's needs every single time. That doesn't change just because the court agreed with me. My father looked older than I'd ever seen him. What now? We never see her. That's up to you, I said. If you want to be grandparents who actually show up, who respect my authority as her mother, who stop treating Karina like a victim, then yes, you can see her. But if you're going to undermine me or try to give Karina unauthorized access, then no. You can't dictate our relationship with our granddaughter. Actually, I added, seeing my mother about to snap, legally, I can. I have sole custody. You have 0 rights. I shifted Leah's diaper bag on my shoulder. But I'm not interested in cutting you off. I'm interested in making sure Leah grows up in a stable environment where adults act like adults. If you can do that, great. If not, then this is goodbye. Karina hadn't left the courtroom yet. When she finally emerged, she walked past our parents without speaking and stopped in front of me. I know you think I'm a terrible person, she said. I think you made terrible choices, I corrected. There's a difference. I really did think I was doing the right thing, leaving her with you. I thought it would be temporary. That I'd figure myself out and come back better. You thought wrong. She nodded, tears slipping down her face. Can I ask one thing? Will you tell her about me when she's older? I considered it. I'll tell her the truth. That you struggled with being a mother. That you made the choice to let me raise her. And that I loved her enough for both of us? That's fair. Karina looked at Leah, who was grabbing at Dan's glasses. She looks happy. She is. Good. Karina stepped back. I'm moving to California. Fresh start. I won't contact you or try to see her. I think that's cleaner for everyone. I think that's the first responsible decision you've made regarding your daughter, I said. She flinched, but she didn't argue. Then she walked away, and I watched her go without feeling anything except relief. Dan drove us home, Leah babbling in her car seat, completely unaware that her entire future had just been decided. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, and meant it. "I'm perfect." That night, I updated my spreadsheet one final time. Total spent on Leah's care, $12,873. Total received from Karina, $400. Total received from parents, $0. But in the column labeled value, I wrote, priceless. 3 weeks later, the adoption was finalized. Leah Gill. Officially, legally, permanently mine. We had a small celebration. Dan, his family, my 3 friends who'd served as references, and Kim, my boss, who'd given me flexible hours and grace during the chaos. My parents sent a card. *, congratulations on your adoption. We hope you'll reconsider allowing us to be part of Leah's life. *, there was no apology, no acknowledgement of their failure, but there was a hint of humility that hadn't been there before. I called them. "You can visit on Sundays. 2 hours. At my apartment. If you say anything about Karina deserving another chance or question my parenting, you're done." "Understood." "Understood," my father said quietly. My mother said nothing, but she didn't hang up, which I took as agreement. Their first visit was awkward. My mother held Leah like she might break. My father commented 3 times on how much the apartment had changed. But they followed the rules. They didn't mention Karina. They didn't criticize my choices. When they left, my mother hugged me stiff and brief, but it was something. "That went better than expected," Dan observed after they'd gone. "They'll fall back into old patterns eventually," I said. "But for now, they're trying. That's enough." 6 months after the adoption, I received a Facebook message from Karina. She'd changed her profile picture, new haircut, location listed as Los Angeles. *, I saw Leah's photos from her 2nd birthday. "She's beautiful. You're doing an amazing job. I don't expect forgiveness or contact, but I wanted you to know I'm grateful she has you. I wasn't ready to be her mom. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to be anyone's mom. Thank you for being what she needed." *, I read it twice, then archived it without responding. Maybe someday I'd show it to Leah when she was old enough to understand complicated things like love and failure and second chances. But for now, it didn't matter. What mattered was the toddler currently trying to climb onto the kitchen counter to reach the cookie jar. What mattered was Dan installing cabinet locks while laughing at her determination. What mattered was the life we'd built from the wreckage of someone else's choices. My sister had dumped her baby on my doorstep and disappeared. My parents had called her my burden. They'd all expected me to quietly absorb the chaos, to sacrifice my life to fix their mistakes, to eventually forgive and forget. Instead, I documented everything, fought for what was right, and won. Leah was mine. My family was chosen. And I had never been more certain of anything in my life. 2 years after the adoption, I'm sitting in my new 3-bedroom house, watching Leah help Dan plant tomatoes in our backyard. She's almost 3 now, talking in full sentences, bossy and funny, and completely ours. The spare bedroom is a nursery, painted yellow and waiting. I'm 4 months pregnant. My parents visit every other Sunday. They've learned to follow rules, to respect boundaries, to be actual grandparents instead of Karina's defense attorneys. My mother still occasionally makes comments about what could have been, but my father shuts her down now. Progress. I haven't heard from Karina in 18 months. Her social media went dark about a year ago. I don't search for her. I don't wonder. That chapter is closed. Last week, Leah asked where she came from. She's too young for the whole truth, so I said, "You were born to someone who loved you but couldn't take care of you. So she let us be your family instead." Leah thought about this, then said, "Okay," and went back to her coloring book. Someday the conversation will be longer, harder. But for now, that's enough. My phone buzzes. Text from my mother, * running late. Traffic on I-5. Be there by 3, * no apology, but she's coming. She shows up every visit, brings age-appropriate gifts, follows the rules. It's not the relationship I once wanted with my parents, but it's the one I have, and it's functional. Dan comes inside with Leah on his shoulders, both of them covered in dirt. The tomatoes are planted. Also, Leah ate a worm. I didn't. Leah shrieks, laughing. Daddy's lying. Then why is there dirt on your face? I watch them. This life I fought for. This family I built from abandonment and betrayal and sheer stubbornness. Karina thought dumping her daughter would solve her problems. My parents thought their golden child deserved another chance at the expense of everyone else. They were all wrong. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just done being the one who fixes everyone else's messes while getting blamed for the damage. Leah is thriving. I'm thriving. We're a family that chose each other, which makes us stronger than any blood tie. Sometimes people ask if I ever wonder what Karina's doing now. I don't. She made her choice, and I made mine. She got to walk away free. I got Leah. I'd say I got the better end of that deal, but it's not even close. The doorbell rings. My parents, exactly 17 minutes late. Leah runs to answer it, and I hear my father's delighted laugh as she demands he admire her dirt-covered hands. My mother appears in the kitchen doorway holding a plastic bag. I brought those teething cookies Leah likes. Thank you, I say, because I can be gracious now that I have all the power. She hesitates. You're doing a wonderful job with her. I pause. I should have said that earlier. I should have said it 2 years ago. It's not quite an apology, but it's closer than I ever expected. I appreciate that. We'll never have the relationship I wanted as a child, the one where my mother saw me as clearly as she saw Karina. But I have something better. I have proof that I was right, that my choices matter, and that the family you build is stronger than the one you're born into. My sister dumped her baby on my doorstep, and my parents called her my burden. They were right about one thing. Leah was mine. Just not the way they meant. She wasn't my burden. She was my daughter, my purpose, my proof that sometimes the best revenge is simply living well and refusing to carry anyone else's shame. Karina lost her daughter. My parents lost their moral authority. And me? I won the lottery.